Horse begins stomping on coffin until people hear a crying sound inside. One of the worst fears that most of us have is being buried alive. Although there are slim possibilities that this may occur, for one individual, it did. Farmer Salim saved an ill horse from an early demise before he was said to have passed away. But he was unaware that Carla would soon come to his rescue. Salim grew up on a farm with his family outside of a tiny Moroccan town. His family possessed a large ranch where they grew cattle, chickens, and horses. Salim understood how to acquire an animal's trust, which would later save him. Now, Salim not only cared for his own animals, but he also rescued other animals, namely horses. If he heard a horse was about to be put down, he would buy it from the owner and nurture it back to health if he could. Salim first met Carla thanks to his generous heart. One day at the market, a different horse farmer was telling Salim how his mare had given birth to a foal the previous evening. However, the birth was so traumatic that the mare passed away right afterwards. There would shortly be a great deal more fatalities close to Salim. Salim paid the man for the ailing foal. Taking him to the doctor was the first thing he did after learning the foal wouldn't survive more than a year. Simply put, he was too ill and had too many health problems. Salim was unaware at the time that by defending the foal's life, he was also defending his own. Every day, Salim would spend time with Carla, feeding him and teaching him how to walk, particularly on his own. Nobody thought the foal would live, yet the days passed into months and then years. Carla was a strong and vigorous stallion 5 years later. All of his might would be required for what was to come. Salim took care of Carla, and they grew close as a result. The two were frequently spotted together across the estate. Salim's family made fun of the fact that he loved the horse more than his own children since they were the neighborhood power couple. But this relationship was about to be tested. Salim was getting older. Additionally, despite living a healthy lifestyle, he still occasionally fell ill. What began as a cough gradually developed into something far more terrible. Everyone, even Carla, was becoming worried as Salim's health rapidly declined. Salim was bedridden from his illness. The most he could manage was to stroll to the porch and return. No one was surprised to see Carla seated next to him, when he started spending most mornings outside. Carla joined Salim on his porch seat for however long he was there. They were both aware that time was running out. The worst eventually took place one day. Heart failure caused Salim's demise. No one seemed to have taken this news as hard as Carla, but his family and friends also grieved for him. At his funeral, the horse performed the unthinkable out of inconsolable grief. Many people gathered to pay their respects at the funeral. The sound of the grieving horse banging on the barn doors could be heard from afar. The funeral was suddenly under strike by Carla when he broke free. All of the people present were in tears as he immediately headed for his owner's casket. Carla began pounding as forcefully as he could on the coffin lid. The news of his owner's passing made him a horse fueled with immense power. Even though it was frightening to see, everyone knew Carla was only grieving and had no intention of doing harm. Carla persisted in pounding the casket with increasing force and rage. It appeared that Carla was exerting all of his strength to open the lid and reach Salim. His family members began to sob loudly as they became upset. But that's when they heard a human sound coming from the coffin. The terrified mourners heard faint crying coming from within the coffin until the horse eventually broke the lid off. That's when Salim appeared from his coffin, screaming and sitting up. The onlookers couldn't believe what they were seeing. People were in complete astonishment and had no idea how to react. Only Salim could be heard sobbing as he tried to let everyone know he was alive. Salim was standing right in front of them, and everyone could see and hear him, but they were unable to comprehend it. Carla seemed to realize he had done a nice thing and backed away. Salim was helped out of the casket by family members who were still in disbelief. His relatives hurried him to the hospital. The same hospital that proclaimed him deceased just a few days before. Doctors were as surprised as the family and began running tests to figure out what was wrong with Salim. The physicians confirmed their fears after a few days in the hospital. Although incredibly rare, they discovered Salim had undergone something termed catalepsy. A condition in which all biological functions cease for an extended length of time, culminating in fake demise. Despite his family's outrage, Salim was grateful for another opportunity at life. After everything they had been through, he persuaded his family to take him home so he could spend all possible time with them.